All right, everybody, welcome back. We had to miss last week because of Easter, so thank you guys for tuning in. We're back again with another weekly analysis video. So I just wanted to open up with a disclaimer. These are free educational alerts that I provide here. We analyze the weekly time frame and then we execute every Friday 9 a.m. For now, just trade in as I see the opportunities. But you guys will definitely be aware of any entries that I'm taking. So let's get into it with some news, and we'll probably won't be too long on this call. Most likely it'll be a 30-minute call. So make sure to tune in 9 o'clock every week, and we'll get started at 9 o'clock with looking at the markets. So just for some news. All right, so just looking at FXCM to see what news they have. Let's see. Massive trades. Four. All right, so let's look at this. U.S. dollar drops on CPI release, updated about an hour ago. All right, so headline CPI came in lower than expected, printing at 5% year over year and 0.1% month over month. Core CPI, which strips out volatile items such as food and energy, came in at 5.6% on an annual basis and 0.4% month over month. The numbers are still above the Fed's 2.2% target, but inflation does seem to be moderating. In response, the U.S. two-year yield declined 2.46%, but the candle is still to complete today and is subject to change. So it's probably already completed when he wrote this article. That was a couple days ago. Um, both instruments may be FXCM US dollar basket bottom chart has followed the yield down. Both instruments may be charting a lower peak. To confirm, they need to close below their reference candle lows. So if they were to close below these, then that will confirm the lower peak. The CME Fed Watch tool suggests a 75% probability that the Fed hikes by 25 basis points at its May 3rd meeting. The U.S. two-year yield is often considered a proxy for Fed policy. That is, declining suggests that the current hiking cycle is near its peak, i.e. May's hike may be the final in this cycle. Shelter costs are interesting. They increased by 0.6%, which is the smallest gain since November, but we're still up 8.2% on the year. This is an important component as it makes up a third of the CPI's weighting. Pre-owned vehicles declined 0.9% month over month compared to the previous year. Prices for these vehicles have decreased by 11.2%. Additionally, medical care services costs also decreased by 0.5% during the same period. Given sticky elements, and if we get a softer landing over a harder landing, it remains to be seen if we will get cuts in the second half of the year. The Fed maintains that we won't get any cuts in 2023, but the CME Fed Watch tool does have the Fed funds rate at 4.5% by year end. All right, let's see what's happening in crypto. Okay, so Bitcoin's booming. Bitcoin breaks through psychological $30,000 level. Bitcoin has broken above the psychological $30,000, reaching its highest point since the crypto crash last year. The surge has been defining 2023, with Bitcoin up 80% since the start of the year, leading many to suggest a new bull market is underway. Investors are likely to experience fear of missing out as a result of the current price trend, which is expected to generate a lot of attention. While profit taking may occur at the present level, it is probable that the price will continue to rise due to the momentum created. The return of Bitcoin above $30,000 is a bullish signal to traders who are betting on further price rises. Bitcoin is sensitive to macroeconomic forces and a correlation to stocks, with the Federal Reserve's potential pause on rate hikes and upcoming inflation data being key drivers of price action. To confirm its bullish streak, Bitcoin needs to maintain its current momentum. All right, cool. Let's do one or two more before 9 o'clock hits. Mm, All right, this was written a week ago, so it's not too new. Gold breaches psychological $2,000 level. Gold has breached the psychological $2,000 level and has an underlying positive momentum. Precious metal was up over 7% in March with its all-time high of 2,074 now in sight. It's appreciated over 25% since its November 2021 low. There are several elements which are influencing gold. As suggested in yesterday's article, was an inverse correlation with the dollar. This means that as the greenback declines, gold moves higher, i.e., a troy ounce of gold is worth more as the dollar falls. Another factor at play are lower yields. Typically, bonds and gold compete for safe haven status. However, as yields decline, so does the opportunity cost of holding gold over bonds. That is, gold becomes more attractive to investors. The SVB collapse and the ensuing crisis of confidence in the banking sector has seen the two-year yield decline. Data has also come in weaker, and concerns about recession have grown. Monday saw a weaker than expected ISM manufacturing PMI. Yesterday, factory orders missed forecasts, and the JOLT series came in lower than 10 million for the first time since July 2021. In effect, the market is anticipating an end to the current hiking cycle, and the precious metal is benefiting. So, all signs economically are pointing to a weak dollar, which I have been saying for some weeks now. However, the market has been consolidating a lot as well as making moves down further. So I believe that's just all liquidity grabs in the market. So let's go over news real quick. All right. So today's news. So we've already had some news. Retail sales came in uh, much lower than expected. Forecast 4.4. Okay. Um, I don't see anything relevant for the next few hours. Everything is pretty much not too major news. Industrial production maybe will be interesting to watch. All right, and then let's look at next week. So what do we have upcoming next week? Nothing really on Monday. Unemployment comes out on Tuesday for GBP. CPI for GBP next Wednesday. CPI for Europe next Wednesday. CPI for NZD next Wednesday as well. FOMC for US next Wednesday. Jobless claims next Thursday for the US. Home sales next Thursday. Retail sales for GBP. Uh, French PMI for Euro. German PMI for Euro. Manufacturing PMI. Services PMI. A lot of PMI news next week, Friday. So we'll watch for that. I don't see anything around the time that I trade. USD has some stuff coming out later in the hour for PMI next Friday. So we could be mindful of that upcoming. So, all right, it's about to be 9 o'clock. Let's take a look at the charts, see what's going on. Okay. So I decided to draw my zones back on there. I've been going back and forth with the zones, to be honest. Um, Marking out my lows, maintaining my highs. So currently we're sending weekly supply zone. We've been testing this zone for the past few weeks, consolidating for AU, but we finally made a strong push above, and it looks like we're going to close strong. So it'll be interesting to see if this zone that was using supply before will become demand. We could look for these highs. So a trade idea could be from this 0.675 QP up to the zero point 0.7 QP, depending on bullishness. As you know, my bias is that we're weak on the dollar, so I'm looking for continued upper momentum. So that's AU. Looking at the weekly, in the middle of this range. So breaking this zone right here would be very good confluence for my bias for that bullish trade, especially because we've been creating these higher lows here. So we had a low, higher low, higher low. So on the lower time frame, we're still very much bullish. All right, so the Swiss franc pairs have been a little funny. So we have like a weekly zone here that's been holding so far. We are at a quarter point. We're at the zero point 0.6 QP here, which could serve as demand back up to these highs at 0.625. So it'll be interesting to watch this range for AUD Swiss franc. AUD Swiss franc has been showing signs of weakness as the AUDs overall and the NZDs have been showing signs of weakness fundamentally, but it does look like this would be a nice area of demand to take a potential buy trade off, looking for a possible, um, you know, bullish week next week, especially because we're closing with indecision this week. All right, so GBP USD has been very, very strong as of late. We are hitting a potential supply, so we'd be interested to see if we're going to push back down, especially because we have this zone here on the weekly. So this would be a weekly supply zone. We'd be interested to see if this bullish move is going to exhaust. Look for a retest either to the 1.225 or the 1.2 right here before looking for a continuation up, as we don't have any indication of a bearish structure on this time frame. So it looks like we were just chopping back down to a potential demand zone off the wick of this kind of indecision candle that would be considered an order block on the lower time frames. We could touch back down deeper here. Maybe we sweep this liquidity, look for support here, and then rally up. So that'll be some weeks to come. We'll see how price is moving from week to week. All right, so then GBP Swiss franc, like I said, has been consolidating pretty much sideways for months now, pretty much since October of last year. So we made this high, had this low. The low was recently broken here, but we've still have been maintaining this high. So it looks like it could be somewhat like a bullish flag or some type of consolidation pattern where we could potentially break to the upside and sweep all the liquidity being generated here, since it seems like they keep pushing down lower for more liquidity to the lows. It's possible that they're building liquidity up on the highs to then maybe stop on low and then sweep all the highs. All right, so then NZD USD looks like we just found support on 0.625 QP. Next QP would be 0.65 up here. Um, because we broke structure here, we pretty much been using this as a point of supply. But this is really our strongest demand over here, using this similar to, I think it was GBP USD, this wick as a lower time frame demand zone. So yeah, we touched into that zone and we pushed up, broke structure here, bullish. So it's looking more bullish now. So I would look for the continuation up to 0.65, then see if price will pull back or if we're going to break above and continue up. All right, so NZD Swiss franc, we're getting to lows, previous lows that we've held since October. So right now, NZD Swiss franc, this was one of the trades that I really thought was going to be bullish. So it looks like we came back lower for some more support. We do have the 0.55 QP here as demand. And then we just used the 0.575 as supply. So this would have been a nice signal candle for the short since we didn't clear these highs. But unfortunately, I was looking for the long. But no worries, this is another opportunity. We'll see how price reacts when it gets to these lows. So next week, we'll just watch price action and see how it plays out. So quickly moving through the cryptos, as we saw, Bitcoin passed the 30,000 mark, which was about here. So recently broke above this supply zone here. So it's looking pretty bullish on Bitcoin. Uh, let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a little overextended right now, so I would like to wait for some pullback candles. But these were all indecision, which is showing that we are possibly looking at another bullish market run, which is basically lining up with my fundamental bias. Ethereum too, we cleared these highs this past week, so that's officially taking us out of a bearish bias. Um, yeah, SPX still, well, looks like we could be clearing these highs, so it's looking pretty bullish. I've been bullish on Ethereum and SPX pretty much for the past month. Just watching it on the lower time frames as price has been reacting. So it'll be nice to see if SPX will clear these highs at the 42.50 QP going up to the 42,500. I mean, sorry, 4,500 QP. All right, NASDAQ. Not too worried about the QPs on this. Matter of fact, let me just take that off. All right, so NASDAQ actually might be looking at a buy now because we did get a slight pullback. This candle is closing with indecision, so possibly next week we could get a bullish run, um, especially because we're not closing past the low of this candle. So I would say look for NASDAQ buys next week. Gold is on a tear, just broke above 2,000 like we read. Um, yeah, we're clearing highs, approaching the all-time high from August of 2020. So that's good to keep in mind. We've been extremely bullish on gold as well. It would be nice to get a pullback similar to this. This is kind of what NASDAQ is looking like it's setting up to do. Two candles down and then break up. So be interested to see if we come sweep some of the liquidity down here. If not, then we're definitely bullish and on a tear with gold. Yeah, silver, same thing. Silver is gone pretty much. So opportunities to hop in pretty much all of the beginning of this year. So from January till around March, till once we hit the middle of March, that's pretty much when we went on a tear with silver. All right. So let's just review Forex again. So the currencies, possible long on AUD to the supply, possible long on Swiss franc from zone to zone. Waiting to see if we break this structure, previous lower high here. GU, possible bullish continuation up to this supply zone, but waiting for some type of pullback or some type of you know retracement lower to look for a re-entry. G Swiss, I don't really know about this one to be honest. I would say bullish just because we're at the lows of this range, but I'm pretty much bullish on everything. NZDs, yeah, we have bullish structure, broke this low, uh, previous swing, previous lower high. Sorry, um, possibly take a buy up to this supply zone here, and then wait to see how price reacts when we get to that zone. NZD Swiss franc pretty much looking similar to GBP Swiss franc, except not as much consolidation. We had a nice strong move down for the retracement. So we're trying to see if we're going to break these lows, which would confirm bearishness, or if we're going to use these lows to pull back, and then maybe it'll just be a wider consolidation range until we break either the low or the high. Bitcoin bullish, Ethereum bullish, SPX bullish, NASDAQ bullish, gold bullish, silver bullish. So everything is lining up fundamentally with the bearish dollar bias. All right, so just looking at some of the Fundamentals, S&P futures bullish as well. Nasdaq futures pretty much looking like a Nasdaq chart. Volatility VIX. So we have low volatility now. This is really lending me to believe that we are going to have some type of bull run because once this turns around, I'm pretty sure the market is going to explode to the upside. So we'll see how that happens. JPY basket has been bearish. We are at some type of structure low, so we'll be interested to see if the JPYs will gain some strength next week. If the JPYs gain some strength, uh, then we would keep that in mind fundamentally. All right, Australian currency looks like we are starting some type of bullish accumulation. So looking to see if we could break this zone here. It's been holding for now, so we don't have any confirmation of Australia being bullish as of yet. Australian futures, it's looking a little bit more likely that we could be bullish just because we seems like we could possibly break and close above this zone. So that's a good indication of Australia possibly gaining strength. 10-year yields, yep. The yields, we have a bullish week. So that's a good signal for Australian dollar possibly being bullish next week. British index is bullish, as the charts have been, except for GBP Swiss francs for some reason. But this pretty much looks like GBP USD almost down to a T with the futures as well. 10-year yields looking bullish as well. So this would be nice to see if we could catch the momentum to possibly clear these highs. New Zealand index, it's chopping, but it's chopping in an upward direction. Clear this lows. We're still beneath here, so that'll be interesting to watch because we could just use this as an area to roll over. So I'll be mindful of that. Same thing with the futures. Index, we still have some signs of weakness. So not sure if this is necessarily a bullish setup for next week. So I would say maybe AUDs over the NZDs. GBPs could be pulling back. So possibly I'd be looking to trade the AUDs. Euro AUD looks like we might be closing with a bearish candle, but it doesn't show us any signs of bearishness as of yet. Let's see, Euro GBP. Oops. Get rid of this. Euro GBP is looking bullish, so that's potentially a signal that we could be looking for a reverse or pullback on GBP pairs. So be mindful of that. Then Euro NZD is super bullish. Not really a good sign for the NZDs right now. So NZDs might continue with some bearishness, and then I'll just leave the JPYs alone. Okay, so just to review, actually, let me just make sure I don't have any questions. All right. Okay, so just to review, AUDs looking bullish. Setup is better supported fundamentally than the NZDs. NZDs are still showing signs of consolidation or weakness. GBPs have been showing signs of strength, except for GBP Swiss franc. So GBPs might be interesting to see if we'll get a pullback next week. So so AUDs looking at potential continuation bullish. GBPs I'm looking at a potential pullback. NZDs I'm looking at potential further weakness. So crypto indices, metals, pretty much all bullish. Fundamentally, the dollar has been showing signs of weakness, so it has been actually selling off since a while back. I want to say since January, it's been pretty much bearish, but we haven't really seen the effect on the market with all of the news with the bank failures, and we'll just see how all of these different policy changes that are taking effect are going to price into the market and see where the markets will play out with that. So that's all I got for you guys today. Check in next week Friday just for another update on the market, and I hope you guys have a great weekend and enjoy the rest of your week.